Good evening, Source Nation, and welcome to Healthy Cooking with me, Chef Keith. This is a show where I will show you how to prepare healthy meals, but before I go any further, let me thank our sponsors who have made this show possible, and they are Scott's Cares Foundation, that's Scott's Cares with an S Foundation, Meet My Types Matchmaking, Urban Grandstand Digital, Cat Photography, Hits Masters, New Covenant of Praise Worship Center, and PS Photography. And today we're going to do a little spin, a little something different. We're going to make chicken carbonara meatloaf with some nice roasted sweet potatoes. It's going to be delicious, I promise. Alright, now I know a lot of you might get a little bit turned off by the use of a little bacon, but I'm actually going to use bacon. You can use turkey bacon in this dish if you choose to, but I'm going to use bacon because of the fat that I'm going to use for the dish here. And what I'm going to do is just make sure I saute the bacon as well. I'm going to chop it down. And with the process here, I'm just going to make small pieces. And I'm just using 3 pieces of bacon, so hopefully that doesn't scare too many of you off. You can use different things if you want. You can omit the bacon all the way if you choose to. But I find out in the carbonara recipe, bacon is involved in the sauce, so I'm just going to add it in here. And I got this idea from my cousin Kai, who just graduated from college, from Dayton. Shout out to you, Kai, for inspiring me to make this dish here, because she just visited recently Olive Garden. She had the chicken carbonara with shrimp, and so I said, hey, well, maybe I can make this in a different type of way. So what I'm going to do is just going to take my bacon here in the pan. I'm going to make nice little small pieces. Zoom in a little bit so you guys can see it. I'm just going to keep moving things around. I had my skillet ready to go. It was nice and hot. I turned it down in the process so that I can get a nice sear to start. But just dropping all the piece of bacon down in here. And like I said, you can omit this step all the way if you choose to. You can even use turkey bacon if you want. Or you can just not use bacon at all. It's up to you. And I'm just going to mix everything down here. Just keep moving it around here. I'm not going necessarily for the cooked crispy hard bacon. I'm just going to make it nice and brown. Just keep moving it around here. If it looks like in the video that you guys might watch later on the Source Radio Network, Healthy Cooking with Keith, Chef Keith, it'll look like I'm moving fast, but you know, I just speed up a little bit. So I'm just going to stir everything around, get everything nice and crispy. I'm going to keep moving. I'm not going to walk away from my skillet here. And we're going to make our pieces nice and crispy. You see them browning for me. And our nice little cast iron skillet. You know how I like to use a cast iron skillet. Of course you know, Source Nation. And that's probably the look I'm looking for. I'm just going to go ahead and take that and dump it right into my bowl here. Alright, now I'm just going to take my skillet off the eye. I'm going to leave the oil in there because I'm going to use it later. And right here I'm going to take one onion. I'm going to use a white onion. And let's just see if this onion is going to be cooperative. And like I said, this was a dish that was inspired from um, a regular dish called chicken carbonara, where it was used with chicken breast. And I'm just going to make it into a meatloaf. Now, of course, those of you who want to use the meatloaf, you don't have to buy the chicken that is already ground up for you. You can actually purchase chicken breast already made. Even if you have your own meat grinder, you can use that. And you can use chicken thighs, boneless chicken thighs or whatever, and the butcher will gladly make them into ground meat for you. So it's all up to you. You can buy it pre-purchased or whatever. So what I'm going to do here is just chop up an onion here. Alright. And we're not doing anything too crazy here, but I definitely don't want big chunks of onion. It's just like you're making a regular meatloaf with beef or pork or veal, whatever it is that you choose to do. And you could probably save a lot of money if you purchase yourself a meat grinder. You can ground up the meat yourself too. There are stores who sell the meat grinders. You can actually look online to find some. I know Bed Bath & Beyond actually has meat grinders for a nice low price. Alright, so what I'm going to do here is just go ahead and chop up my onion, and I'm going to use a red pepper here because that's traditionally used in the carbonara dish as well. So I'm just going to cut up my red peppers here. It's okay with the chunks here, but I'm going to chop it up as much as I can. Alright. Everything nice and chopped up here. I'm going to clean off my cutting board, and I'm going to go with a little fresh garlic here. I think we're going to have one episode where I show everybody how to grow their own garlic and their herbs and vegetables. I think that it's important at this stage that we learn to grow our own vegetables. We don't have to purchase them. That is affordable and the smart thing to do. But here I'm just going to take 2 cloves here of fresh garlic. And those of you who are afraid to use fresh garlic because you don't want to get that smell on your hands, if you actually have a stainless steel sink, you can actually rub your hands and fingers on that stainless steel sink and it will actually get rid of the garlic smell. Bet some of you didn't know that, Source Nation. But that's why I'm here. I'm just going to chop my garlic up nice and fine. Going to mince it up a bit. Got my knife all sharpened and ready to go. And there we go, nice and easy. So I put a little butter in a pan and it's added to the oil that was already in the pan for the bacon. I'm going to drop my garlic, red peppers, and onions right down in here to the pan here. And I'm just going to make sure the heat is on a medium-low. You can go a little bit faster if you choose to, if you have your eye up. But you got to make sure that you keep your eye on it because we definitely don't want to overcook and we definitely don't want to burn anything here. Especially not the garlic, because burnt garlic does not taste good at all. So I'm just going to mix everything up, incorporate it with the oil and butter. Alright, and this is the process here. We're going to keep stirring, keep everything moving. And we're just going to cook down the water in here. We want the onions to be translucent, which are just to get the onions nice and clear and see-through. Just going to keep stirring it, letting the heat do its job. Not adding any salt and pepper to this at all. Alright, the process itself takes a few minutes, depending on how high you have the heat. Alright, and that's the look we're looking for. I'm just going to go ahead and put it in the bowl that has the bacon in it. And we want this all to cool down before we actually use it to put into the meatloaf mixture, because we don't want to start the cooking process early. So I'm just going to dump everything down here inside the bowl. Get everything we can get out of it, and presto. Now I decided to use some sweet potatoes, which in essence are yams. Sweet potatoes are a fantastic twist on any type of potatoes that you're using. If you're planning on using potatoes, sweet potatoes are a great option. And I'm just going to shave off all the skin here. It takes a little bit of work, but you know, good food always takes a little bit of work, because we know that the key ingredient to actually cooking great meals actually is time and love. A lot of people just put things together. They just go ahead and just throw things together, but they don't taste as well. But when you put a lot of love and time into your cooking, it always tastes better. And what I plan to do here with healthy cooking with Chef Keith, is that I want to make every dish seem really simple. That even a person who isn't great at cooking can use these techniques and use these dishes and make a fantastic meal. And you can actually surprise your family by taking these videos and taking this radio show and making some great food for your family. And I'm just going to cut everything down here. Just going to peel off the skin here to sweet potatoes. Alright, I'm going to take the ends off there. And just save our sweet potatoes. Now, some of you have potato peelers. That's fine if you can use them. If you have a little bit more confidence in your knife and you have it ready to go, things can be easier. This just takes a little bit of practice, peeling potatoes. I know some people grew up peeling potatoes, but this is actually a technique that, through a little bit of practice and a little bit of hand control, you can make these meals here. And I'm just going to shave off just more of the skin here. And sweet potatoes are a little bit harder than regular potatoes. They have retained a lot more water than regular potatoes, and they're nice and solid, but they taste fantastic. I know a lot of you already know that, Source Nation. So I'm just going to cut them down, and all I'm going to do right now is make them into nice little squares, bite-sized squares. Now, if you choose to mash everything in this particular dish, that's fine too, but I'm going to go with the roasted version of it, just to show you a different way that you can prepare all of these dishes. Alright, just going to chop everything up here. Nice and easy. Cutting everything down into chunks. I think somewhere in the future we're going to we're going to show you how to make sweet potato fries as well. They're a nice alternative. And I'm just going to keep chopping everything up here. Nice little chop. Chop each slice of sweet potatoes into, it takes a little bit of pressure. You see I'm pressed on it with the back of my palm. And we want nice fork size servings of it. And my kids love sweet potatoes. They love all kind of potatoes, but they love sweet potatoes as well. My son was excited. He thought they were carrots when he was looking at them in the bowl. But I told him it was sweet potatoes, and he was equally excited. It's a good way to have your children eat some vegetables, Source Nation. Alright, just going to dump everything into a bowl with water in it. Alright. And we got everything nice and ready to go. There we go. Final chop. I used 3 sweet potatoes. And this meal is for about 6 people. So if you're using 4 people, only use 1 sweet potato. If you're cooking for 2, only use 1. Or if you just love sweet potatoes, you can make as many as you like. Like I said, I bought, this is the store-bought ground chicken. And I'm just going to drop a few eggs, actually 2 eggs, into my chicken. That's right. I know that's a little weird to use chicken and eggs in the same dish. But the eggs will serve as the emulsifier for our dish here. We're just going to keep mixing everything up. You got everything nice and mixed. I'm going to coat everything with the egg here. This is also a great dish if you want to make turkey burgers. I actually use 3 tablespoons of salt, 3 tablespoons of pepper, 3 tablespoons of paprika. I used a half a cup of Parmesan, and I'm just going to dump in all of our sauteed vegetables as well as our bacon. I'm going to use 1 cup of breadcrumbs, and I'm going to use a tablespoon of red pepper flakes. And I'm just going to go ahead and stir everything up here. Make one nice little mixture here. And you're going to keep mixing. Don't worry about over mixing, because we're going to make sure that everything is incorporated into our meatloaf here. Just going to stir it up for you. Fantastic. Alright, everything's nice and mixed. And before I get finished to plate it, I'm just going to take a half a cup of white wine and put it into our meatloaf mixture. Like I said, this makes fantastic burgers. If you want to do this for one of your barbecues or something like that, you want to change it up, this makes great barbecue or even just in a pan burgers. So those of you who don't eat beef or don't eat pork, omit the bacon, use turkey bacon, or omit it all together. But you can make nice chicken burgers with this as well. So I'm going to take it and dump it down into my pan here. And I'm going to use my nice little spoon. If I can find it. There it is. And I'm going to use my nice little spoon to mold the meatloaf into the shape a lot of you are used to. Now, you can get creative with the shapes, but to me, it's all about the taste, it's all about the smell, it's all about everything being delicious and easy. So sometimes you can just take your spoon and just smooth out all the edges here. Alright, we have our edges nice and smooth and round. And there we go. We have our oven set at 350 degrees. And I'm going to go ahead and set my meatloaf into the oven for about 30 minutes at 250 degrees. I'm going to dump all my sweet potatoes into a pot with the starchy water that we had in there. Made everything nice and coated. I actually stored it in a refrigerator. I'm just going to fill it up so that all these sweet potatoes are covered. And I'm going to put this on at medium. And we're just going to boil the sweet potatoes down. We want them to be soft, but we don't want to cook them all the way through. Just going to smash my garlic here. Using fresh garlic again. And what I'm going to do here is, normally on meatloaf, we actually use some type of tomato sauce to put as a topping. But I figured that because it was chicken, we're going to do a little something different. And we're going to make a white sauce to go on top. So after I smash my garlic, I'm just going to mince it up nice and small where everything's cooking. Alright, so I actually use 2 cloves of garlic for the spread. I actually used 2 cloves of garlic to put into the mixture that we sauteed with the vegetables. I'm going to use a half a cup of sour cream for our topping. Alright, there's about a half a cup there. And you can omit this. You can actually go with a tomato sauce if you choose. It's up to you, Source Nation. These recipes aren't etched in stone. You can actually customize them to what your likes are. I actually took a tablespoon, actually a teaspoon of red pepper flakes and dumped them into our sour cream mixture. Now I have a couple drops, maybe 3 drops of Worcestershire sauce to put into the mixture as well. I'm just going to stir that up here, get it nice incorporated. So we have garlic, we have crushed red pepper, we have our garlic crushed red pepper, and our sour cream in there. Now we took all of our sweet potatoes out. And I'm going to use about a third cup, and actually this is a quarter cup, I'm sorry about that. A quarter cup of honey, and I'm just going to drizzle it all over our sweet potatoes, or yams, some of you like to call them. Honey, nature's perfect food. Now those of you who are allergic to bees, you definitely want to omit this if you have to. Alright, so I'm just going to take a quarter cup of honey and dump it over our sweet potatoes. And I'm going to just use a tablespoon of butter. And what I'm going to do here is just mix everything up together. And just coat, because they're hot, and the residual heat will melt the butter. So we just want to keep mixing everything around here so that we coat all of our sweet potatoes. And I actually use a tablespoon of cinnamon, a teaspoon of nutmeg, and also a teaspoon of allspice, a half a cup of brown sugar, and I'm just going to toss everything around. And I just want to get all of my sweet potatoes nice and coated. Alright, so when everything is nice and coated, like so, we can go ahead and get our pan, and remember we're at 350. I actually have removed our meatloaf after 30 minutes, and I removed it so that I can put the sauce on the top. Just going to spread everything out evenly. And I'm going to take our mixture our topping that we made earlier, and I'm just going to pour it down over the top of our meatloaf. And as you can see, it looks beautiful. And it's been cooking for 30 minutes at 350 degrees. And I'm just going to spread this mixture over the top. Nicely done. And this is going into the oven at 350 for an additional 20 minutes. And when it comes out, it's easy to do. Just slice a piece of heaven, put it onto a plate, add a salad. We got fresh tomatoes and lettuce. So there you have it. Another simple meal. Now, wasn't that easy? And once you finish it up, you'll find out just how tasty it will be. But before we go, I just want to thank our sponsors who make this show possible. And that's Scott Cares Foundation, Meet My Types Matchmaking, Cat Photography, Urban Grandstand Digital, Hits Masters, New Covenant of Praise Worship Center, and PS Photography. So tune in next week with the Source Radio Network with me, Chef Keith, as I'll show you how to make tasty and very affordable gourmet style meals in your very own kitchen. Easy, affordable, gourmet style cooking is as close to you as you are to your kitchen. I'll see you next week.